In composite and pooled fund maintenance, what it says that you need to create an asset weighted composite, which means whatever assets you have in your composite, according to you have to assign a particular weightage to each and every asset. So let's say you have a composite which is comprising of different funds, and all those funds are invested in large cap stocks. Now, according to the market cap of all those securities or all those asset classes, you have to assign certain weightage. It should not happen like this: a fund having a market cap of, let's say, 100 crores, another fund which is having a weightage of a market cap of 50 crore. You cannot assign same weightage to both these funds, right? So the moment you are creating a composite, it should be created, and a particular weightage has to be assigned to every asset. Now, when I'm talking about asset weighted average, so it is not a simple average. Remember, when we are creating a composite and we are saying that we have created an asset weighted composite in which every asset is being assigned a particular weightage. So asset weighted average here does not mean that it is a simple average of returns on the portfolios, right? It has to be based on certain criteria. The moment we are talking about pooled funds, so in pooled funds also, what it says, if a pooled fund is included in a composite only if they fit its definition. Let's say if the definition we have defined a composite in such a manner that these funds are largely invested in large capitalization stock. So similarly, pooled fund, if they are also invested in large capitalization stocks, then only it has to be included in composite. Now there are different types of composite which is given here. So from section 4 to 7, they have talked about composite. This composite is based on time weighted rate of return. So in quants we have seen what is a time weighted rate of return. So in time weighted rate of return, basically we measure the performance of a stock over a period of time. The moment we talk about money weighted rate of return, so basically it depends on when you are investing the money, that will determine the money weighted return. So we have already seen the difference between time weighted return and money weighted return in quants and in portfolio management also. Time weighted rate of return determines the performance of the stock, whereas money weighted rate of return determines the performance of a particular investor or a fund manager. So there are different ways in which you can create a composite. Either you can go for a time weighted return or you can go for money weighted return. Same concept applies for pooled fund also. So the sections 4 to 7, what it contains, so basically it contains required and recommended procedures for reporting the performance of composite and pooled funds, as well as the necessary disclosures. So a firm which has met all the requirements of GIPS, they may include an appropriate claim of compliance. So if as a fund or if a composite meets all the criterias of compliance and they have complied with all the rules and regulation, then they can claim a compliance of GIPS. The last section talks about GIPS advertising guidelines. So if a firm claim that they have complied with GIPS and they want to advertise the same in their performance presentation, so in that case your advertising guidelines has to be followed when you are making a reference to GIPS compliance. So whatever guidelines has been given by GIPS, accordingly you need to advertise the claim of compliance for GIPS. So these are the 8 major sections of GIPS. Moving on, so last point is independent verification. So what it says, generally the firms are encouraged to pursue independent verification of their compliance with GIPS. Now verification here is not applicable only for a selected composite, but this verification has to be done for the entire firm, right? So verification is not meant only for a composite, it has to be done for the entire firm. This verification has to be done by a third party and it cannot be done by the firm itself. right? And this verification has to be done on a firm-wide basis. You cannot do this verification for individual composites. Now, whoever is the third party which is verifying, that they must attest that all the GIPS requirements has been complied with for composite construction. All the calculation methodology, data requirements, and format requirements of claiming compliance with GIPS have been met. Now, this is the duty of the verifier. He needs to attest that the firm has complied with all GIPS requirement for composite construction, and obviously on a firm-wide basis. Then all the processes and procedures have been followed in performance presentation as far as calculation methodology, data requirement, and format requirement is concerned. Lastly, verified firm. So if as a firm you have claimed compliance with GIPS, verified firm should include the following disclosure language. So let's say ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund has claimed compliance with GIPS. So how they're going to write it? ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund has been verified for the period, and let's say this is for period 1st of January 2021 to 31st December 2021. So they'll have to mention the dates also in the period. By here the name of the verifier, any third party who is verifying this claim of compliance, their name will come here. And lastly, they have to write this line: a copy of verification report is available upon request. So as far as CFA level 1 is concerned, they have not gone in depth as far as GIPS is concerned. So if you remember all these points, this is more than sufficient to answer questions in CFA level 1.